Hi, my name's Gabby and today I'll be showing you how to draw a realistic eye using graphite pencil. I've noticed that often people struggle with proportion and texture when drawing an eye, so hopefully through this video you can learn a few tips to make your drawing appear as more realistic. From left to right, the materials I'm using are a 0.5mm Faber-Castell mechanical pencil, a 2B and a 9B Lyra graphite pencil, which is really just a fancy word for lead pencil, a Derwent electric eraser, a kneaded eraser, a normal eraser, an eraser from another mechanical pencil, some paper stumps, a cotton bud, a tissue, and lastly a sharpener. While all these materials are available from an art shop, keep in mind that you don't need to use professional artist quality materials to produce a realistic outcome. Art shop materials are, however, better quality and would most likely result in a better outcome. Before you begin, it may be a good idea to change your reference photo to black and white, such as by using a filter on Microsoft Word. This will make it easier for you to see where all the different tones are in the photo. I also like to print out my photo because I find printouts are much easier to copy proportions from. I've started by drawing a grid with 1cm squares, and I've also drawn the same grid over my reference photo. This technique really helps me with proportions because I can see which box has which parts of the photo in it, and then I can copy this onto my own grid. When drawing your grid, make sure that you draw it lightly so that it can be erased afterwards. Numbering your boxes makes it easier to tell which box is which, so you don't get muddled up and think one box is actually another. This technique is really simple to use, even if you're a beginner. After finishing my basic outline, I begin to go into detail and draw a shape for each tone I see. This will be an indicator of how hard I need to press in each part of the drawing. To colour the iris, which is the coloured part of the eye, I'm using the 2B and the 9B graphite pencils. The number on the pencil, like the 2 or the 9, indicates how hard or soft the pencil is. Pencils with a bigger number on them are softer and therefore look darker on the paper. Using the 9B pencil, I start to colour the pupil. I like to colour the pupil first because it allows me to see where the centre of the eye is. Still using the 9B pencil, I outline the iris and make it darker to check that it's a nice proportionate looking shape. Now I start to fill in the different shapes of the iris with a 9B pencil. To shade and create a nice fade, I start off by pressing the pencil quite hard. As I work the pencil back and forth like so, my pressure gradually gets lighter. This will result in a nice, evenly blended fade. Don't worry if it looks a little rough though, because you can blend it together with a paper stump to make it look smoother. If you don't have a paper stump, a cotton bud can work just as well. You can see that I don't use a pencil to fill in all of the drawing, and instead I just use a paper stump and a cotton bud. This is because there is enough graphite built up on them so that they actually act as a pencil, only much softer. I use a kneaded eraser and a smaller eraser to help lighten certain parts of the iris and create more contrast. Contrast is actually important when drawing eyes because it makes the eye appear as glossy. I press the kneaded eraser onto areas where I want to lightly lift the graphite from the paper and create a soft effect, while because the smaller eraser is harder, I use it when I want to remove more graphite, especially in smaller areas. For the sclera, which is the white part of the eye, I use a 9B pencil and shade from the outer edges in towards the middle. This creates shadows to make it look like the middle part of the eye is popping out of the page more than the edges. I then use a cotton bud to blend this out and create a nice soft fade. I also like to use a cotton bud instead of a pencil to fill in the sclera because it's softer. For the skin, I use a cotton bud and dip it in fine graphite shavings and then dab it over the paper. I move the cotton bud in a circular motion in order to create a nice, evenly spread and blended layer of graphite. To make the tone darker, I just repeat this process until I'm happy with the tone. I also like to use a tissue to further blend the graphite out, because the tissue creates a softer effect than the cotton bud and paper stumps do. For the eyelid and eyeliner, I use a 9B pencil to draw the lines over the skin, and I build the tone up until it's dark enough. I then use the cotton bud and paper stumps to smooth the line out so it looks more like soft skin. To draw the eyelashes, I sharpen a 9B pencil until it's really pointy. I like to think of the eyelashes as tick-like, so to draw them, I use a lot of pressure at the root of the lash and a release pressure as I extend the stroke upwards to make the lash appear as thick to thin. I then repeat this process for each eyelash. Take note of how some of the eyelashes slightly cross over one another. As you can see in the finished drawing, an eye appears as really complex, but with a couple of tricks and some practice, it's not too hard to create a realistic looking eye.